So for those who's here now and for those who's going to be watching the replay, I prepared this official project launch presentation because I want to commemorate this time in history. This is a pivotal time in history where we've taken another step forward. We graduated again, where we have launched the American Government Resurgence Project after, 17 months of development. The initial idea spawning from that one little postcard idea that I presented to Anna in that coordinator training call back February 2024 is when it started. And as people came on board and saw the potential of the project, it went 17 months into development. To July 1st, we actually launched the project. So we're commemorating that in history, and that's what this presentation is about. The American Government Resurgence Project has two primary goals. One is to gain the recognition from the American people, our employees, and the world nations as America's only government. And two, to achieve a systemic solution to get the remedy for the American people and end that 160-year-old criminal fraud scheme that's being perpetrated upon us by our employees. As we have now launched this project, I want us to take on this mindset, to make a note to self. We are a government. I know I repeat that often because it's a shift in your mindset you have to make to posture ourselves as a government. As a government, we have to be accountable to the people that we serve. We have to be transparent in our government activities. We have to be competent in our roles that we play. We have to be just in our interactions toward each other. We have to be accessible to the American public. We have to be knowledgeable of the fraud and the true American history. We have to be professional in our conduct. And we have to be organized in our assemblies and organized in our public meetings. So I encourage everybody to take on that mindset and posture yourselves as a government. Now, as we're going out there doing our county tours, there's several messages we need to make clear to the American public. And that is, we are the government. And we are America's only government. That is a message that we have to deliver to the American public and make it clear to them. The government that they know now is not the government. It's a government. It is a government, but it's not America's government, and it's not the government. Other messages that we need to make clear to the American public is that they have a birthright. Your nationality at birth translates into a birthright political status called an American state national. There is no citizenship at birth in America. U.S. citizenship is only by employment. That's got to be made clear to them. They have a right to assemble. And assemble what? They have a right to assemble themselves in their own local communities as their right of self-governance, and to be that missing American town. Their communities is that American town that need to be reconstructed, and they have a duty to self-govern, and they have a right to self-govern. So all those little cities and all those little villages need to be reconstructed into a American town. We need to tell them that. We need to let them know that they need to correct the public record with a declaration, direct declaration of political status, a declaration of nationality, naturalization, and make notice to the de facto that you are no longer, and you did not intend to be an accomplice to the human trafficking of birth registrations. Let them know that we, as the government, have passed 3 public laws over the past 5 years. We've passed 3 public laws that outlawed birth registrations here in America, and it outlawed Federal Reserve notes credit monopoly here in America. We need to put that declaration in their hands so they can utilize it to defend themselves and protect themselves now that they have declared themselves as an American. We are the American government. We're going to have to deliver that to them. It's going to be hard for them to digest at first, because all they have known all these years as the government is actual commercial corporations. We let them know that what you've been accustomed to all these years are not America's government. They are commercial corporations that are in the business of providing governmental services. That's who they are. We need to let them know that they need to claim back their public and private inheritance now that they become an American. And then we need to explain to them the whole story of how we got here. There's messages we need to deliver to the corporations. Now, our big problem that we're dealing with is actually the corporations have usurped over the control of the people. And we need to let the people know this. We need to let the corporations know what has happened. And we need to let the corporations know that they need to relinquish control back to the living people on the soil. Let the corporations know, these government services corporations, let them know, correct your political status need to go on every wall in your buildings, the government buildings, in your courtyards, erect a sign. On that flagpole, the peace flag need to go there because American government has declared peace on the soil. These things we're letting the corporations know. When I say corporations, those are the government services corporations. But there's also the other aspect to this is the corporations called hospitals. Those corporations need to know they need to stop issuing birth certificate bonds for the state corporations as their proxy. That corporation, we need to let them know. The other corporations, the state bureaus of vital statistics, we need to let them know they need to stop registering birth certificate bonds to enslave infants at birth. It's going to be interesting how we carry these messages across to the right people and get these things done. But that's what the American Government Resurgence Project is all about, is reining in the corporations because they've overstepped their bounds from the international jurisdiction onto the soil and to the land jurisdiction where they don't belong. We need to let the U.S. military know, and our fiduciary have already put out a public notice, international public notice. The Federal Reserve notes need to come out of circulation, and they don't get to provide us any substitutes either. No digital currencies either. The Federal Reserve notes, the blood money, need to come out of circulation. We need to let the county recorder's offices know. Start recording live births. Start recording declarations of political status. Start recording our Declaration of Naturalization. Those corporations, government service corporations, need to know that. How are we going to get that message across to them? All of them need to know that you will be criminally liable for human trafficking and credit theft if you don't course correct. That's what the Criminal Information Notice of Liability was constructed for. So our state and county assemblies need to convey this message to these corporations because we are the government and we have to posture ourselves that way in order to get these things done. There's messages to the law enforcement that we need to convey. And this is where our peacekeepers come in. We need to convey to them, enforce your laws on your citizens and leave the non-citizens alone. The sovereign, leave the sovereign alone. The public law reigns on the land, and it guarantees that you, law enforcement, will protect the unalienable rights of the sovereign. The state constitution that you abide by, that state constitution is a contract that you actually have with the U.S. military. After the Civil War, that's the contract that you signed, making you a federalized subcontractor. And your jurisdiction, law enforcement officer, is granted by contractual consent only. Our jurisdiction as the American government, law enforcement officer, is established by our ownership rights to this land. You are commercial government services corporations, and we are the bona fide government. This, our peacekeepers will have to get across to the law enforcement officer or the policy enforcer or policeman. We have to let them know the American government is the employer and all the rest of you are foreign governmental services corporations, subcontractors, supposed to be delivering us governmental services. So let's we need to have that conversation with them and let them know that you are personally liable for all the outreach beyond your contractual and your constitutional limitations. Let us explain to you, law enforcement officer, policy enforcer, how we got here. And then they become responsible for their actions after they have been told. So our peacekeepers need to get these messages across to the law enforcement de facto counterparts. Now, in our American Government Resurgence Project, I've outlined some guidance for every assembly of the logistics of how to get this message across county by county. Here's a list of all the beginning documents that will give you that guidance of how to design and execute a successful campaign. County tours. To the right, you'll see Illinois. I mapped out Illinois because the first thing before you get out there, you got to map out where you're going to go. I mapped out a 2-mile radius on Illinois to try to get an idea of what will that entail for that state. And I started number 1. The American Government Resurgence Project wants to start in the county where the state capital is. You're going to decide as your state where you want to start. But initially, that's what the project focused on, was the county where the state capital is located, so that we can rein in that governor. So that once we rein in and accomplish that, that governor can trickle down and send down those demands and those orders to all those federalized subcontractor agencies and departments that's really under their control. So that's why it's mapped out that way, with number 1 being in that location. But your assembly, have the autonomy to decide how you want to start. And you can think of it strategically. Strategically, where do you want to start? Do you want to start where the state capital is located? Do you have a county sheriff already elected in that state capital? Or do you have county sheriffs already elected in the other places? And maybe you want to start there. Or maybe you want to start where you have declared nationals. Maybe that will be your strategy. You'll start where you have declared nationals located, so that you can start getting them involved in organizing the reconstruction of their little communities. It's all left up to you, that as the assembly, the county assembly, the state assembly, you all design what best strategy will serve you all. There's a link here to the ICE drive. I've uploaded all the documents there. And as things come in, if I need to change anything, I'll upload it to this ICE drive. This is a message for us. We no longer have to act the way we've been acting. We no longer have to go and convince people that they've been accomplices to their own demise. We don't have to convince them of anything. We just tell them we're the government. Tell them that this is what has happened. This is what we're doing about it. And this is what you need to do about it. We no longer have to live under the thumb of the corporate feudalism and the government oppression. And I put government in quotes because what? We are the government. See, we no longer have to look at them as the government, because we are the government. We no longer have to defend ourselves against their administrative law in their administrative courts, because we will have our own courts. We no longer have to wonder what happened to that Constitution or our Bill of Rights. We now know what happened. It's been usurped, but we're putting it back in order. We no longer have to choose to be ignorant or apathetic because we feel so powerless to do anything about the situations that we've been finding ourselves in for this past 160 years. We don't have to choose ignorance anymore, and we don't have to be apathetic anymore. because now we're empowered to do something about it, reconstructing our American government. We no longer have to subject ourselves to forced labor contracts to receive their monopoly money. We're going to create our own bank. We've created our own bank. Sovereignty has to, if you're going to be sovereign, like we say, if you're going to claim sovereignty, you have to have financial sovereignty. We don't have to use their monopoly money. The Federal Reserve notes need to come out of circulation. That's what we have dictated as the government. We no longer have to guard our minds against the cognitive dissonance and the gaslighting, trying to make us believe the lies, because now we know what the truth is. We don't have to hide behind and be fearful behind the labels of tinfoil hat wearers and sovereign citizens. Why? Because we've proved that it's correct. We no longer have to adhere to the laws that's requiring land titles and deeds and patents and licensing for driving and marriage licensing and professional licenses and voter and car registrations, selective service. No, you don't have to sign up for the selective service or use fiat currency. We no longer have to do any of that. We position ourselves now as the government so we can deliver these remedies to the American people. They no longer have to do any of this. Why? Because we've launched the American Government Resurgence Project. Phase 1, Phase 1A, Phase 2, and soon Phase 3 is following behind. And I didn't do it by myself. I want to thank all of you that we've accomplished this together. And if your name, if you've done something, if I missed your name, I'm sorry. But I've tried to give recognition to everybody that I could think of that I said, hey, can you do this? Hey, that pitched in a tweak here, a tweak there, a talent here, a talent there, a correction here, a correction there. We did this. And I thank you for all of the assistance that I've gotten thus far. But you know what? We still have phases 4, 5, and 6 to complete for us to achieve our mission for 2028. Margaret has an inspirational message here for us. Let me see if I can play it here for you.
We cannot fail. We are willing and able to do this work physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We have resolve and determination. We walk the talk and work every day to bring the du jour into reality. We have excellent tools to complete our work. We set realistic and achievable goals. We learn and research constantly. We have a timeline. We track our progress. We measure our strengths and weaknesses. We continually improve and revise accordingly. We conduct ourselves with peace and love. We keep the peace and uphold the public law. We report crime. We let our yes be yes and our no be no. We operate as fiduciaries under the prudent man standard. We aren't giving up. We aren't going away. We are not taking no for an answer.
Thanks to Barbara for that presentation. That's one of her contributions to us, to give us encouragement, to give us a sense of pride in what we're doing, tenacity in what we're doing, inspiration in what we're doing, because we have to do this together. Any more volunteers who want to step up to the plate and finish what we've started, phases 4, 5, and 6? I'd like to deliver that to you for today and let you know we got a lot more work still to do, but we can get it done together. Thank you.